Anyone ever told you to always say yes to your players? Me too. I wish I'd said no. Hey there, adventurers. I'm Judd, and this is Short Rest Studios, where we believe fun builds community. I've listened to and tried out a lot of the common DM advice that's rolling around out there, and frankly, a lot of it isn't all that helpful. Sometimes because we interpret it incorrectly, or it's not right for our group, or sometimes because it's just bad advice. Today I'm talking about 10 of those tips that threatened to destroy my D&D game until I changed the way I was using them or stopped using them altogether. Whether you're running D&D, Pathfinder, Dungeon Crawl Classics, ShadowDark, Daggerheart, or some other game, I hope refuting these will help you out. And I've actually got a bonus 11th one that supersedes them all, so stick around. First up, don't DM if you haven't played before. If I had listened to this advice, I might never have played a tabletop role-playing game at all. The very hobby wouldn't exist if people followed this rule. And I get it, the hobby, the games, the rules have matured and developed a lot. Whether they've really improved is not something everyone agrees on, but it's not new anymore. But you know what there's a shortage of in the RPG hobby? Game masters. How many groups out there would never have started playing D&D if somebody who'd never played hadn't decided to be the dungeon master? Seriously, I want to know. Drop me a comment if that sounds like you. It is absolutely helpful to have some familiarity with a game system, with how it actually works in practice before you step into the role of DM. And it is certainly beneficial for every GM, no matter the game they're running, to experience the game as a player. I'm all for that. But to say that no one should DM before they've played? As my friend Deficient Master, no, I haven't seen his face, once said, start kind of sucking so you can start getting kind of good. Somebody's got to be the DM. Just play. The second piece of bad, common DM advice, don't use house rules. I posted a silly meme once. Then down in the comments, someone said this: unless you can and have built an RPG system from the ground up, you should not be creating homebrew rules. You probably do not understand why that rule was created in the first place, and your homebrew rules are almost certainly garbage anyway. Don't go look for it. I'm not calling anybody out. But to be honest, I think this is ludicrous. Game masters have been homebrewing rules since the beginning, and nearly every TTRPG book in existence contains some variation on the famous Rule Zero. Yes, it's somewhat controversial these days, but honestly, I don't believe it should be. The 2014 Dungeons & Dragons DMG says it like this: the D&D rules help you and the other players have a good time, but the rules aren't in charge. You're the DM, and you are in charge of the game. If it helps you and your group have fun, yes, homebrew the heck out of it. I mean, if you actually do find yourself homebrewing that much, maybe you need to consider a different game system. But you know your table, and the rules themselves say that you're in charge of the rules. So do what you need to do. At number 3 on the list of terrible DM advice that tried to ruin my game, don't let players fail. Where do I start with this one? I think as a new DM especially, you feel this pressure. The players aren't going to have fun if they fail. Once when I rolled really well, which doesn't happen often, on an attack that was going to drop one of my players, he saw the fear on my face and basically said, if it's going to kill me, then let it kill me. If you're playing with the right people and you've been clear what kind of game you're running, they'll get that sometimes things don't go their way. And often the greatest stories come when the hero has to come back from failure. The BBEG takes the world-breaking magic item the heroes were tasked to deliver for safekeeping. They stand back up, dust themselves off, and perform an even more daring and significant feat in saving the world from destruction. Sometimes they can't come back, though. Sometimes they die. And that's part of the game. It doesn't necessarily mean the game has to be over, though. They can always roll up new characters. The thing is, if they can't fail, where's the challenge? And if there's no challenge, where's the fun? If players know that they can actually fail at something, how much sweeter is the victory when they succeed? Your game needs stakes. Stakes. Fourth is the flip side of that one. Let players face the consequences. I know, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but hear me out. The problem with this advice is maybe not the advice itself. I think the problem is that when a lot of DMs receive this tip, what they actually hear is if the players make bad decisions, it's time for a TPK. Then they'll learn their lesson. Players are going to make bad decisions. They're going to focus on the quote unquote wrong things, and we have to learn to roll with that. Sometimes that may mean the characters all die, but it's not your place as the GM to punish them, which is what this philosophy boils down to. Facing the consequences can mean it's harder to complete the mission, or the mission can't be completed, so there's a new one now. It's my job to figure that out. And frankly, if I see them heading down a path that leads to a TPK, I'm going to try to give them opportunities to avoid it. If they ignore those opportunities and the party dies, that's on them. But I'm not here to punish them. Now, here's a piece of good advice for you. Dungeon masters need to be comfortable for those epic game sessions. Well, today's sponsor, Into the AM, has incredibly cool and amazingly comfortable apparel, from tees to hoodies and polos to pants. They're perfect for long game nights, a hard day at work, or just kicking back. I love their designs, and they're genuinely some of the most comfortable, best fitting clothes I own. Level up your comfort and get an additional 10% off your entire order, even stuff that's already on sale, at intotheam.com/shortreststudios. The fifth DM tip that almost destroyed my game: do more prep. Why is this bad advice? Well, I used to think this is what my game needed, and I would spend hours preparing. It felt like a full-time job. It was unsustainable. I either had to do less prep or stop playing D&D. For some of us, doing more prep is just going to keep us from playing the game. If you don't enjoy prep, or you only have time to do the prep you're doing now, you're probably going to give up if you believe that more prep is the key to running a good game. Prepare your game in the way that works for you. If you haven't, you should really check out Sly Flourish's Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, and really anything else from Mike Shea. It's proof that more prep doesn't necessarily make for more fun. I mean, say you prep a whole scenario that will take your party 4 sessions to complete. Then your players go completely off the rails halfway through session 1, ignoring the stolen artifact to hunt down the camp of bandits who ambushed them. That could very well completely change how you approach the rest of the quest, negating all the work you put in. Prep 1 session. Save yourself some heartache. At number 6 is this gem: don't prep. I'm just telling you, even now, this does not work for me. I might swing it for 1 session, but I'm just not that good at improvising. If you're a relatively new dungeon master, or you're just not that quick on your feet, prepping nothing and improvising entire sessions without a plan is a freaking nightmare. Some of us can do this. Experience and deeper familiarity with the rules make us more comfortable with improvising, but it's definitely not for everyone. Do the right amount of prep. Find what works for you and your table and do that. It may take some trial and error, and that's okay. You and your players will have more fun, and you'll be less stressed. And how about number 7? The DM is always right. Yes, the DM is in charge. Someone has to adjudicate and make calls. And yes, I had to learn that I, the DM, actually knew my table better than the folks who wrote that rule book. But this is another one of those pieces of advice that's too easy to misconstrue. Someone has to decide, and that falls to the DM. But you and I are human and fallible. Every decision we make is not going to be right. Yes, you can make homebrew rules, but if you change or do away with written rules on the fly, you're not right. And sometimes we just make mistakes. You may think that the DM is always right means that you can't show weakness, that you have to stick to your guns for the sake of the game, or maybe even that because you're the DM, whatever you say goes. And that seems to be what this tip is communicating. But it's okay to be wrong sometimes. Your game will be better, and your players will enjoy it more, and they'll appreciate you more if you admit your errors and rectify them than if you operate from this position of arrogance. 8th on the list is a really popular one, and if I haven't already, this is where I'm going to get in trouble. Yes, and. This rule is a staple of improv, and trying to say yes to every little thing my players thought up used to drive me crazy. But what works on the improv stage is not always helpful in D&D. This advice assumes that whatever the player does actually makes sense in the game world and is successful. I like Justin Alexander's idea better, default to yes, because we shouldn't just shoot down our players' ideas. We should give them the chance, but sometimes it can't be yes and. Defaulting to yes leaves room for other options. Sometimes it needs to be yes, but. Alexander's example is great. The player wants to jump over a chasm? Great, they do, but the floor collapses under them when they land on the other side. And sometimes it has to be no, like when the player wants to do something completely outside the parameters of the game. However, it should almost never just be a flat no. No, you can't jump over the chasm, but there are remnants of something that looks like a flying machine nearby. Of course, if they want to build a 747 to make it across, the answer might just have to be no. Number 9 is honestly awful. The DM is a storyteller. No, no, you're not. You're a collaborator. You and your players are telling a story together. Yes, you're providing the world and the characters they interact with, but they are making the decisions that move the story forward. If you're making all those decisions, you're railroading. And I know from personal experience that railroading is frustrating for your players and exhausting and frustrating for you. For a game master to think of themselves as a storyteller, that means they are in control of the plot and how the story moves. That leads you to, in opposition to what we just talked about, default to no instead of yes. Can I jump over the chasm? No, that's not where I want you to go. It's not about story beats playing out at the table. It's about seeing where the collaboration with your players takes you. That's more fun for them and for you. Number 10 is possibly the ultimate bit of bad DM advice. Be more like Critical Role. I hope you've not been following this one. Someone said something similar to me a few years ago, and honestly, it chafed. But it also made me wonder if I wasn't doing something wrong. I'm not a trained voice actor. I've said it before, I am not good at voices. My players are not voice actors. I don't have a production crew or editors or anybody but me and the other folks at the table. And that's where you are too. If you're good at voices and you like them, do them. But expecting your game to look like an episode of Critical Role or frankly anyone else's game is just setting yourself up to fail. Comparison will kill your game and stress you out. I'm proof that you don't have to be Matt Mercer for your players to enjoy playing your game. Now for the bonus bad tip, and it really does supersede all the others. In fact, I might just contradict everything I've just said. Sort of. Our final piece of terrible DM advice that ruined my game: there's a right and wrong way to DM. If any of the previous 10 DM tips have made your game more fun for you and your players, then use them. Who am I to tell you the right way to run a TTRPG at your table? And really, that's the whole point of this exercise. Someone probably gave you this advice because they felt it worked for them. And if it works for you, it's good advice. If not, move on from it. I think the important thing is to remember that it's about having fun, and to therefore play D&D or Daggerheart or Dragonbane or RuneQuest the way that you and your players most enjoy. But I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Adventurers, if you enjoyed this video and you want more of this kind of content, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please consider supporting the channel by joining the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios or by hitting the join button under this video. Perhaps you'd like some more advice just to see if it works for you. I've got some in this video right here, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios.